Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Mariah and this is Mariah's Moods. Welcome to the March edition of It's a Mood TBR. I'm so excited to get started this month, but we're going to take a moment and excuse the way that I sound. I've been sick for the last few weeks, ever since Valentine's Day. There's just been like this revolving door of some type of virus that's been going around my house, and while I feel much better, like I've moved past it, I just still sound disgusting, and I'm sorry for that, but you know, life. We're here. We're thriving. Kind of. But before we get into it, let's do a quick wrap up for the month of February. So I'm not going to go into my specific thoughts on each one of these books that I finished in the month of February. I will have a quarterly wrap up at the end of March, but I'll just give you a quick rundown of what I did finish and my general rating of that book. So in the month of February, I finished a total of 9 books, which I'm so excited about because, like I said, I was extremely sick, and so I did a lot of reading, but I also did a lot of sleeping. So I didn't realize that I was reading as much as I did until like I went to go pull them off my shelves. But even more important and more exciting is that I finished my TBR for the month of February. I am so proud of myself, and overall, really, I enjoyed pretty much all of the books that I read in the month of February. So it was a pretty good month. So let's go ahead and go through just a quick rundown of what I finished in February. First off, I finished the 3rd book of the Crescent City series, A House of Flame and Shadow. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good conclusion. But if she decides that she wants to continue on, I think that it is possible. I ended up giving this a 4.5. I think on Goodreads it's a 5. I mean, anything that this woman writes, I'm gonna love. Then I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Really enjoyed this one. I was pleasantly surprised by her fantasy debut, urban fantasy. There was 1 or 2 scenes that I wasn't quite sure about, not sure how I feel about them, but overall, I still really enjoyed it. It was still Ali Hazelwood, gave it 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I read Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. This, I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I know it's not for everyone. It is a dark romance. There are some pretty graphic scenes because we're following 2 serial killers that fall in love, but the spice was fantastic, and honestly, just I love the dynamic between these 2 characters. I will go ahead and say now that if you read this, I highly recommend the audiobook because it is read in duet. So instead of a narrator per chapter, we have a narrator for each of these people in this relationship, and they speak to each other one after another, and it's fantastic. I've never read an audiobook like that, and it was such a fun tandem read, so highly recommend. After that, I read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, another beautiful romance. I really love this one, and I tend to not go for contemporary romance, but in some ways it felt a little bit like literary fiction too. Really loved it. 4.5 out of 5 stars. This one is just, it's just everything. I love it so much. Then I read one of the top contenders for the entire month, and that is The Right Move by Liz Tomforty. This is the 2nd book to her Windy City series. The 1st book, Mile High, was probably my favorite romance that I read last year, and this one was just as good, if not in some ways better. Listen, Ryan Shea. My only disappointment in this book is the fact that Ryan Shea is not a real man, and he is not mine. I love my husband, but oh my gosh, I love this man so much. Liz Tomforty does a fantastic job writing real, realistic characters that have conflicts that make sense, and I love it so much. Highly recommend. 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Locked Door by Frida McFadden. This one I gave 3 stars. It wasn't my favorite. It was a little bit predictable. It was a nice little palate cleanser for all the books that I had been reading during the month, but honestly, it just wasn't my favorite. I think that a lot of people could enjoy it. It is a little bit suspenseful, but you know, 3 out of 5 stars, still recommend. Just don't have too high of expectations. Then I read my nightmare from last month, and that was 1984 by George Orwell. I enjoyed it probably the same amount that I did back in high school when I read it. I think I gave it like a 3.5, so maybe a 4 on Goodreads. I mean, it's a classic. It is very disturbing when we consider what, you know, our world is compared to what's, you know, described in 1984. But I don't think it'll ever be like one of my top books, but I still highly recommend. Yeah. Then I read A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. There's just a few things that I didn't exactly like or kind of believe, but overall it was a solid book, and I do definitely want to continue on with this series. And the last book that I read in the month of February was Trust of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. This book was absolutely wonderful. 5 out of 5 stars. Tress I love, but I think my favorite thing that I loved about this book is the way that it's written. It feels like a fairy tale being told to you. Very much the Princess Bride vibes. And it was just utterly delightful. Utterly delightful. Love it. Read it. 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, so those were all of the books that I read in the month of February. Like I said, I read a total of 9 books. So proud of myself. Finished that TBR. This is the first time since I started this game I've actually finished my TBR, which for a moody reader, I feel like is a great accomplishment. But I'm really excited to see what the game for March brings us. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move over to the game and begin our spins. So at the end of the game last month, I didn't have any book tokens because I finished the first round and I added that January book token to the end of that game. So we are starting fresh now for March. So for the month of February, quick wrap up, I finished a total of 9 books. And like I've already said, I did finish my TBR for the game, so woo me, I'm so excited. So I will be adding an additional book token because I finished my February TBR. So I finished 9 books, plus the fact that I finished the game TBR would give me a total of 10 tokens to start with. I'm so excited. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 1 more token for my reward for finishing my February TBR. So we are starting our game now with 10 tokens. Hopefully I don't lose any tokens. It would be really great if I landed on a token space to get more tokens. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to spin number 1. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We landed on a mood space, so I'm gonna grab my moody cards, give them a good shuffle, and see what will our first prompt of March be. Buzz Buzz, pick the month's buzzword book. Okay, so for this prompt, we have Buzz Buzz, pick this month's buzzword book. So this month's buzzword book is character name, so picking a book that has a character's name in the title. So I decided to go with Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I recently hauled this one and I've just been so excited to dig into this one. This book is following Emily Wilde, who is an expert in fairies, but she's not really good at people, like interacting with people, making small talk with people, which I can completely relate to. But she goes to this little town to continue her research. There she runs into her academic rival, who is named Wendell. And Wendell just kind of starts meddling in her research, kind of becoming great friends with the townspeople, and it's just getting in her way. And so as she uncovers more of these secrets about this village, it actually starts to have her question, Wendell, who is he? What does he really want? Why is he there? So I'm really excited about this one. I've heard really, really great things, and I think recently her second book has been released, so I cannot wait to hop into this one. All right, let's go on to spin number 2. 1. We've traveled so far. Another mood spot. So I'm gonna again grab my moody cards, give them a good shuffle, and see what spin number 2 brings. Go. OOTD, pick a book that matches your outfit. This will be interesting. Okay, so for this prompt we have OOTD, outfit of the day. Pick a book that matches your outfit. I did not know that I'd be pulling this prompt. I recently made a scrap sweater, like a scrap yarn sweater that's just like tacky and ugly, and I absolutely love it. But there's lots of colors, so there's lots to choose from. I decided to go kind of with just like this kind of palette of colors. It's very like fall feeling, which I know we're moving into spring, but whatever. I love this sweater and it's super comfy. But I was looking at like the oranges and the yellows and the greens, and I had a couple contenders, and then I remembered that I recently, like last week, got a new book that I think perfectly matches my sweater, and I'm so excited to read it. And that is Caught Up by Liz Top 40. If we look, I feel like it matches the vibes, right? Like we've got like striped colors, there's yellows, there's oranges, there's green. I mean, like, could we not match anymore? It blends in. I'm so excited to read this one. So this is the third book in the Windy City series. We kind of got a hint of this character in the second book, The Right Move. And this one is actually going to be a baseball romance. So the first book is hockey. The second book is basketball. This third book is baseball. Now she's coming out with a fourth one. And it better be football. I'm just going to say it. It better be football. I want a football romance from her. But anyway, I do like baseball. So this one is going to be following Kai and Miller. And this is going to be, I think, single dad trope, which I've never read before, but I'm excited about it. And then Miller, I think, is his nanny. So I'm excited to hop into this one. If you haven't noticed, this woman, I've just been loving her books this last year and a half, and I can't wait. I can't wait. And it's a perfect match. It's a perfect match. Okay, spin number 3. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sweet. I have landed on a book token space. So no books for this round, but I do get to add another book token to this game. Let's go ahead with spin number 4. Okay, 10. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I've reached a stop sign, and this is in our romance area. So this is our stop sign. It says, it's not focusing today. You have hit the miscommunication trope. Pay 2 book tokens to afford therapy, or ride through the trope and choose a nightmare prompt. Last time I did this many months ago, it totally backfired, but I'm really digging the fact that I have 11 book tokens right now. So I think that I'm going to ride through the trope and choose a nightmare prompt. So hopefully it's nothing too catastrophic. So I've got my nightmare cards. I'm going to give them a good shuffle and see what we come up with. Sometimes size does matter. Pick the longest book on your shelf. Fantastic. Fantastic. So this is what I get. So I took one for the team. I decided to go with the nightmare prompt. And, you know, the nightmared. It did, because we've got sometimes size does matter. Pick the longest book on your shelf. I thought that I was going to get away with, you know, nothing too terribly long, because I thought the longest books on my shelves were my Sarah J. Maas books, Kingdom of Ash, the Crescent City series, and I had read all of those. But tucked away deep into my bookshelf, I realized that I do have the longest book maybe ever written. I don't know, but it's pretty long. And so when I did a little bit of research, compared it to some other books that I thought might be contenders, this one won. It won by a landslide. My longest book that I thought was going to have was going to be A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. So I thought that was going to be the winner. And that book has 292,000 words. But, like I said, I found a book tucked away on my shelves. And I think the reason why I forgot about it is because my edition is actually broken into 2 parts. And that is A Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I have the UK covers. I grabbed them last year when Book Depository was shutting down. RIP, miss it so much. I just prefer UK covers. I'm just that person. So I did get that. But it came in 2 books. We have part 1 and part 2 to make one long book. This is the first book of the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson, and it's long. It's so long. When I looked it up, when I was doing my comparison, Way of Kings has 383,000 words. So almost 100,000 more words than Game of Thrones. I'm so excited to read this. If you've been with me for a little bit, you know that Brandon Sanderson is one of those authors that have just, like, I just get scared. I am so intimidated by his works, but I just finished Trust of the Emerald Sea and really, really loved it. I did read Mistborn, just the first book, last year, and I really, really loved it. So I'm sure I'm going to love this book, but I am so scared of reading this book and being able to understand it and finish it all in a month. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a nightmare, hence a nightmare prompt. But I think my saving grace is we will have spring break. And we're going to go travel for spring break, so maybe I can read it over vacation, like when we're road tripping, put on the audiobook. So, we'll see. Do I know what these books are about? Absolutely not. Did I buy them because I've heard they're fantastic and Brandon Sanderson is just one of those authors that I think I will always go back and forth reading? Yes. Can I give you a synopsis right now? No. I'm sorry. Maybe look it up. There's probably some type of war brewing. Fantastic. Glad you're here. Hope you stay. Okay, so because I finished my TBR for last game, I only have 5 spins this month, so this is going to be our 5th and final spin. Spin number 5. 6. Okay, so I can choose which path I want to go, and honestly, this right here is giving me a little bit of anxiety, so I'm going to go up the mountain and see where we land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god. Great. So excited. This is what I get for cutting corners. So I landed on the rainbow space, and this rainbow space means that I have to pick a book from the Mood TBR cards and add a spin. What is happening with my karma right now? So I'm going to grab the mood cards, give them a good shuffle so that we can see what our additional book will be. There is power in numbers. Pick a book with a number in the title. Ooh, interesting. This is what I get for trying to cheat the system. This is what I get. I mean, I guess not cheating the system, but trying to take the easy way out because that little other path had lots of icons on it that were making me nervous. So I tried to take the path of least resistance, but still ended on the rainbow piece, which means that I have to add a spin, but also I have to add a book. So for this prompt, we have... There is power in numbers. Pick a book with a number in the title. Now, this one was a little tough because I had a couple of books on my shelves that had numbers in the title, but this was a recent haul that I'm really excited to read, and it does have mixed reviews, so I think it's making me a little more anxious to read it and excited to read it because I wanted to see where I fall in that spectrum. And that's going to be One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I'm really excited about this one. I'm not sure if it's YA or not, but it is a romantasy. And we're following Elsbeth, who as a young child had some type of illness and it gave her magic, but also this like ghost demon god thing like lives inside of her, but she has to keep her abilities secret. But she goes to this kingdom and she strikes up a deal to help this kingdom find, I guess, these like cards. So in this world, this magic system has like these cards. There's like 12 of them, and if you collect all 12, you have like ultimate power. And I'm assuming this kingdom probably wants these cards to do something that's a little bit sketchy, but Elsbeth has to basically help them in order to protect herself, from what I understand. Like I said, this one I think has a little bit of mixed reviews. I've heard people really, really enjoy this one. I've heard other people say it's just kind of meh. So I want to read it and see where I fall on this spectrum. So we'll see my thoughts at the end of this month. But now I do have to add a 6th spin because I landed on this wonderful rainbow. Okay, our 6th and final spin. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, another mood spot, so I'm gonna grab my moody cards, give them a good shuffle, and see what will our final prompt be. Love can sometimes be dark and dangerous. Pick a dark romance. All right, so we've gotten this one before, but that's okay. And for this prompt, we have one that we've seen before. Love can sometimes be dark and dangerous. Pick a dark romance. I don't have a lot of dark romances on my shelf, but I did recently get Gothicana, A Tale of Dark Romance. So they're saying it's dark romance, so I'm picking it, and it's by Runix. But first I just want to take a moment and say, Amazon, what the heck? Like, seriously, what the hell is that? What is that, Amazon? I was so mad about that. So mad, but I'm also so lazy that I'm not gonna return it. We're just gonna deal with it. I think I'm gonna try and like iron it out, see if I can fix it that way. But that's not what's important. What's important is what's inside of this. And this is a dark romance, I think kind of like a gothic romance as well. I mean, I would say probably by the title and the cover. But we're following Corvina, who goes to this mysterious university, and she meets Vad, who is a professor, but also like this caretaker for this castle, or he just like lives at the castle or observes the castle that Corvina, I think, is staying in. And while she's there, she starts to kind of uncover some secrets about this castle, and Vad basically has to keep an eye on her. I think he has to make sure she doesn't learn a little too much. But the back says that he is the silver-eyed devil of Vernermore. We're going to say that's how we say that. The dark god who played like it was both a blessing and a curse. Her multifaceted, enigmatic, one-time lover who knew the secrets of her soul. He found her. I'm really hoping that I like this. This edition is absolutely beautiful, even though Amazon jacked it up. But I'm excited to read this. Oh, it's got illustrations. This is stunning. This better be as good as it looks. Oh, look at that. It's like a graveyard. Ooh, I'm even more excited about this one. So this will be our pick for the dark romance. You know, I feel like March did me a little dirty. I feel like it did me a little dirty because I was so excited about the fact that I had finished my TBR. So I was only supposed to have 5 books. I mean, it did help that I landed on a book token instead of like an actual prompt. So I still am walking away with 6 books, but you know, it could have been 4. It could have been 4, you know, but you know, it is what it is. It's okay. I'm excited for this TBR. It's quite a bit, you know, these 2 have me worried. Send good vibes my way that I'm able to get through this book and this TBR as a whole. But I think this is getting a little unhinged. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all the things. I hope you're having a wonderful time out there and that your day is full of good moods and good vibes. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.